Chelsea, thank you so much for being here. Welcome to the Watch Us Thrive podcast.
Thank you for having me. I've been super excited about this moment. So thank you.
Thank you for agreeing to come on. I've known about you for a while thanks to my sister, Janice from Yo Quiero Dinero. She had you on her podcast. You talked a little bit about your story around domestic violence, which is what we're going to focus on today. I know it can be triggering for some to hear, can be triggering for us who have been through it. So I just want to say, first and foremost, thank you. I really appreciate you coming on, and do want to put a trigger warning for anyone who's listening. What we're going to talk about, if you're not comfortable, don't listen, or get someone in the room with you that you feel safe with. We're going to have a really meaningful conversation that I know it's going to help heal a lot of people.
Definitely. These conversations need to be had. They're not easy to have. And you'll, I think, be able to tell that this is not a conversation that I just have every day. So there will be moments where it's I'm going to have to really think about these questions, because when you're in a domestic violence situation, none of it makes sense. You're dealing with something that is out of this world. You can't explain it half the time. And so now that I've healed from all of those things and years has passed, you would think that it would just be easy to talk about, but some of the things still don't make sense. Even though you've healed and stuff, you're just how did I even allow these things? So I think no matter where you are in your journey, whether it's healing, whether it's something you're currently dealing with right now, having these conversations and hearing other women's experiences, it might just set something off for you to realize whoa, I'm in the early stages of something that could end up really, really bad if I continue on. So I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Absolutely. It's all about bringing awareness, and not to make people scared, but just to be aware of this is real life shit that we've gone through. And especially if something does sound familiar, like you said, I really want us to be able to open up your eyes and your ears and maybe reevaluate some things that are happening in your own situation by us sharing our experiences. I really feel like it's definitely healing, not only for us, but for others who are listening. Let's start off with an introduction in your own words for people who are meeting you for the first time. Let them know, who is Chelsea?
So yes, my name is Chelsea Guarriello, and I'm a woman. I come from humble beginnings. I'm from the Bronx originally. My mom is Puerto Rican. My dad is Black and Italian. I grew up with my mom, a single mother, like a typical Puerto Rican household with a single mother. You don't always get along, and it's hard, but I did grow up with a lot of love. I did always know that my mom loved me so, so much, and I always saw her effort, her hard work, her dedication to my sister and myself. Being a strong single mom looked like something not to aspire for or anything like that, but if this is how it has to be, my mama got this. And I always really respected that about her and wanted to make her proud and wanted to show her that even though you're not in the ideal situation, you're crushing it, mom. And I'm going to make sure I do what I need to do as my own woman to never burden you and never make you feel ashamed by me or my actions. And so my mom was my strong backbone, and I just always wanted to make her proud. So I think most of the decisions that I've made as a young adult and an adult really have my mom in the back of my head as someone that I wanted to make proud. These days, I'm a mother myself. I have 2 small toddlers, and they are my world. And so now more than ever, I really just understand what motherhood is all about. And luckily, I don't have the same financial challenges or struggles that my mom had as a single mom, but I just have a real solid gratitude for women and appreciation for just women and mothers. And my sole purpose is just to be a great woman, a great mother, and just someone that other women can see as a resource to whatever it is. I think I've gone through a lot in my life so far, and I just want to be someone that can use my experiences, whether they were good or bad, to help guide other people to not having to make those same decisions or life choices. I'm also an entrepreneur. I am a mentor to thousands of women all over the world, and I teach them how to start online businesses and become financially free. Since we are talking about domestic violence, I'm sure we'll get into this, but I can say that at the root of a lot of what I dealt with in my situation stemmed from self-worth and all of those things. But for me, it was more than that. I can honestly say, because I never really struggled with self-worth and feeling like I deserve better. It was financial. my mom and what I saw and like how resilient and strong she was, never making us feel like we didn't have anything. The fear of being without, or the fear of like not having the financial security under control, that allowed me to accept things that I should have never, ever accepted. So yeah, it might all boil down to low self-worth and all those things, but I was always confident. I never agreed with that. I'm like, no, I know I deserve better. Don't get me wrong. He needed his ass beat. Okay. Like, I know that this is crazy, but y'all don't know how much money he got of mine either. So that's crazier to me, you know?
Mhm.
Those financial blows, I'm just not built like that, me personally, you know? So that's where we are today, is I'm healing from a lot of the trauma that I've been through, both in my childhood and as an adult. But God is good. And I've done a lot of the soul searching and the healing and the personal development. And I feel great about where I am today. And that's why I want to have these conversations, because I know when you're in it, boy, it feels like it's over.
One thing that I came across when researching around domestic violence after leaving my situation, because like for me growing up, I never knew what that was. I never grew up in a home with violence. I never saw that. It was very foreign to me. I feel like society really paints this picture that like domestic violence only affects one certain group of people. So if you saw it growing up, then obviously you're going to be a victim to that as well. And that's just not the case. That's why I love hearing conversations from all different types of women who have shared similar experiences like my own, but they are also very different in the same aspect because, you know, 1 in 3 women are a victim of domestic violence in their lifetime. It's insane. There's 2 women right here who have experienced it. And while our stories are different, they're also so similar. And I'm so glad that you brought up the financial abuse part because, again, I never heard of that shit before. And it was crazy to me when I saw a statistic that 99% of domestic violence victims suffer from financial abuse. That's fucking crazy to me. And that's such a huge reason as to why women especially stay in those relationships because they can't. So for a woman like you who has been able to build such a successful multiple businesses and you're out here empowering women to do the same, I think that is so fucking beautiful. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to have you come on to just show you've been through some shit, but look at you now. And you're able to make this shit happen regardless of the situation that you've been in. So kudos to you, girl. I'll be seeing
Thank
you.
you. Thank you. I really appreciate that. But it's true. That is my driving force behind all of that, is that me being financially wrapped up in a situation that made me feel I had to tolerate the things I did. It just showed me like, Chelsea, you can never, ever let your finances get you in no shit like this ever again. I had this like private vendetta with myself that like I have to be successful because I don't ever want to have to lean on nobody. After that experience, I'm like, I will have my own forever. My kids will have their own forever. Like now I'm on straight mission mode. Like I got trust fund babies now, like, because no matter what, my daughter will never ever have to depend on no lost dude to lead her to absolutely nowhere and abuse her and have her tied up the way this guy had me financially tied up. I feel like when you're a strong woman, when you're a woman who's responsible, does things the right way and cares about your life, cares about yourself, you truly become a target and people don't even talk about that at all. You're just a good woman. Oh, you'll find your match. No, you're going to find your match and you're going to find anything, everything and anything in between too. The bad boys want you. The good boys want you. The square boys want you. The criminal, everybody wants you because you got good credit, you know how to talk, you're a pretty face, you know how to carry yourself. And people who have bad intentions, they see people like that and they're like, oh, I could go so far with her. I could leverage her. I could use her. And people don't talk about that. Just like you said, you didn't grow up in that. So you were naive to the fact that there's guys out here that will prey on you for just not knowing better. And I was a victim of that as well.
I feel like that's how my last relationship was. He definitely portrayed himself to be like this gentleman and treated me great in the beginning, but that facade only lasted for so long. And, you know, the relationship that I was in, it was a very short relationship. It only lasted for 10 months. It's very fresh for me too, since I escaped that relationship. And it's just crazy to me. And I'm really glad that you brought that up because there are men and women too, but men out there who will prey on like the good girl and just use them and abuse them. And we don't talk about that enough. So I would love for you to share your story. You talk about as much or as little as you're comfortable with sharing, but what was your experience around domestic violence? How did it start? When did the abuse happen? Was there like an aha moment for you when you realized like, I got to get the fuck out of here? Share with my audience what that was like for you.
It's like the craziest thing because I was always that girl that was just like, I wish He would. Like, I wish somebody would. Like, I've just always been known as like the firecracker. Like, nobody saw this coming. If somebody were to have told them, like, yeah, Chelsea's in this, they'd be like, how? This really just caught me off guard, because as much as I was that type of like fake aggressive person, you know, when you're from New York, you're from the Bronx, it's just like the culture, you know, but really deep down, we just want to be loved. I found myself in a vulnerable state. This is 10 years ago. So 2 years for you. Oh my gosh, 10 years for me, girl. By year 2, I couldn't even be doing what you're doing right now. So I definitely kudos to you. That's amazing.
Thank you.
Yeah, it's been 10 years. And back then I was in a long distance relationship with a guy who I really thought I was going to marry. I really thought that was going to be the person that I would end up with forever. He lived overseas. He was playing basketball. On paper, that was just like the most perfect relationship. Like, that's who I was supposed to be with, right? After 2 years of being in that long distance relationship and realizing that this person was kind of getting cold feet about having me move out there and actually like taking our relationship to the next level, I immediately started to feel a void. For the first time in 2 years, there was like trouble in paradise. Like, if you're not ready after 2 years to have me come out there and live with you, then now you just like shook up my whole world, because this was our plan for 2 years. And now here we are and you're being weird about it. And so I think that that really just sent me through a mental breakdown of like, oh my God, am I not good enough? Am I not worthy enough? Did I just waste my time with this ball player? Like, stereotypically, like, oh my God, I'm young, 25, living in Atlanta by myself. I have this long distance, amazing relationship, but like, is it not going anywhere? You know? And so I was going through like a really big phase of like vulnerability in my life and just confusion and just not knowing what was what. And at the same time, God put me in this situation that completely like played on that, right? And so I found myself living a reality in Atlanta that my boyfriend knew nothing about, because he was in Europe. So the closest person to me, the person that I confide in about everything, wasn't even around to really help see what was happening and be like, hold on. But he created a void. He created a distance that allowed other people to come in. And because I was vulnerable, I couldn't even tell what was healthy and what wasn't. I couldn't tell that the relationship I was in was a real one. It was a healthy one. But because of this like feeling of like, oh my God, you're not going to do right by me, and now I have this state of confusion, I was vulnerable to things happening. So my best friend at the time in Atlanta was dating a guy. One day they came over for taco night. My boyfriend knew, you're long distance, I'm going to have friends over, I'm going to hang out. So my best friend came over with her little new boyfriend, and he asked like, hey, is it okay if I bring my cousin over? And I'm like, sure. So they come over, we have the best time. We're playing games, best night ever. Fast forward 7 days later, I'm at work and I get a phone call that my best friend's boyfriend, the one that was there with us, he got shot and killed. My best friend used to take my car and drop me off at work, and then she would just go run around the city working and doing whatever she wanted to do. So she's downstairs waiting for me in my car. And I just remember looking down, like I was the mortgage loan originator. So I had a beautiful office in Atlanta, and I look down, I see her in my car, and I'm like, I have to go down there and deliver the hardest news ever, right? Well, long story short, not only did he get shot and killed, but there was someone else there with him as well who got shot. And that was his cousin, who was also the friend that was at my taco night. So in a matter of minutes, it's like people who really, in reality, I had just met a week ago. It was not that deep. But here I am being this person with a hole in my heart, someone who just wants to love and be loved genuinely and just experience what it is to just have that. Being long distance for 2 years, it's like that was a void for me. And so God put me in this situation where immediately my best friend and I just felt like we have to come to his rescue. He's survived, he's here, he's okay, but he lost his cousin. And oh my gosh, that turned into, boy, my vulnerability just like got the best of me. And next thing you know, I'm like caring for and like literally bonding, trauma bonding at its finest. Okay. I'm literally trauma bonding with this freaking boy that I knew nothing about, that I just completely was brokenhearted for the tiny little story that I knew, not knowing who he really was, what he really comes from. I let a tiny, very horrible story. It's not even like it was a good story that brought me close to him. It was a freaking horrific one that I really should have had common sense to be like, wait, why are you guys getting shot at in daytime? Like, this is not my life. But because I was so naive and like, this is so not my life, I had dated this square ass ball player for the last 2 years. I didn't know nothing about no smoke, no drama. I'm like, wait, who's shooting at who? What? Where? What happened, babe? They trying to kill you? let me protect you. I don't know what the hell I was thinking. Like, I was already over the bad boy phase. This caught me literally out of left field. This was not my type of person. He was from Brooklyn. Girl, I'm not even attracted. I'm from New York. That's cool. I don't need no New York dude because you already know. So that's who he was. That's who they both were. So I felt total comfort in the friend zone. I had my boyfriend. Life was good. This is almost no way that this could have happened how it happened, but it did. And so that mama bond just kept manifesting and we kept getting closer and closer. Next thing you know, my boyfriend wasn't even able to like get me out of any time we spoke. It was like, I'm at Jen's house. Like, I'm with my friends. I have to take them for a ride. I have to bring them here. They're crying constantly, a lot of mourning. It was a lot. And those months that we spent months together like this, and we bonded as friends, and one thing led to another. And I completely violated my real relationship, right? This caught me completely off guard, like I said. So just seeing how it was built, our friendship was even established. Looking back, it's just like, ugh. But now I end up finding myself dealing with someone who is suffering from PTSD, someone who literally just got shot at, watched his cousin bleed to death and die in front of him. I don't know anything about these things. I don't know what PTSD is. I don't know anything. I'm just like, oh my God, somebody's got to be there for him. You know, like not even understanding psychologically, like what is about to happen to this person. And not to make excuses, because to be honest, his mama told me he's had a history of this way before that, but I wouldn't know. All I was doing is making justifications for everything I was seeing. And I was just like, oh my God, it's because his cousin, it's because he got shot. Oh my God.
We do that shit. Like you said, we want to save them. We want to protect them, but then we end up losing ourselves in the process.
Girl, yes. That's why I learned so freaking much, bro. But I let me being vulnerable and having this void in my heart just get filled with anything. And it sure did. He was ready to fill my cup in every way. And now I have shame. Now I have guilt. Now I have lying and infidelity. Like I literally was living a double life because like this person would not let me go. And I kept trying to be like, no, chill. This has already gone too far. Like I'm in a whole relationship. I'm about to move to Europe. Like you just came out of nowhere and this is not what I want. And he started using like fear and like, okay, like threatening almost, I will bring your whole world down. Like you can't go anywhere type thing. So from the beginning, there was that feeling of like, oh my God, he could really destroy everything for me. I have to kind of play cool here. And then next thing I know, I'm like, this person is completely taking over I don't even have access to my own decision-making skills anymore because now this person has infiltrated my life. Now he's using my car. Now he's staying the night. Now I have to like go hide to talk to my dude in the other room because he won't leave. And then how it transitioned from that, because most people would be like, okay, how did that get romantic? That sounds horrible. That sounds disgusting. He financially started the bullshit, girl. Now he's in this state of fury and anger and retaliation. And we used to call him the Lost Boys, like him and all his friends. They were just lost. He ended up getting in fights, getting arrested. You know, we were young. I was 25 at this, not young, but not too old for that. But he was just bugging out, you know, traffic tickets, speeding, this and that. So now he's getting locked up for petty shit. And now I'm the only person there with any type of credit, any type of money, credit card, job, bank statements. So now I'm like in way too deep. Now I got my name is on paperwork with your name on legal murder. What the fuck? This is not my life. Life just started to spiral kind of out of control very quickly. I'm bailing you out. That's $2,500 here. Oh, now I gotta pay this. Now I'm late. I was just locked up. Can I borrow another $200 here? Next thing I know, you're owing me like $2,500. Now it's like another $800 here. I'm literally working a real 9-to-5 job. Like I'm serving tables, waiting tables, doing makeup on the side while you're at my house, smoking weed, gambling, playing video games while I'm working my square life. You're over here doing who knows what, not paying me back money that I need to live my life. Dude, I need that money. And me being like the person I am with the background and all of that, it's like money before anything. Like I wasn't a single woman, but I was in a long distance relationship and I needed my money. I was an independent woman, even though I was in a long distance relationship. I was young. I had my savings. I was very responsible, had a nice, beautiful apartment that I was paying for. for. Like, I had my own shit. To know that this person had thousands of dollars indebted to me, I couldn't let that shit go. And so because of me being so stubborn finding, because I have friends that would have been like, fuck it, I would have just chalked it up. I'm like, wow, that was an option. Like, you're right. I could have just chalked it up, but bitch, no, hell no. Like, I can't even chalk that up now. I don't care how much money I have now, bitch. It ain't going
You
like
gonna
that.
pay me my motherfucking money.
Period. So it's like, and honestly, like that mindset he knew that. And so he's like, damn, this is going to be my girl for life. Like, I'm going to drag this shit out forever. He did. Every time he was this close to paying me back, some crazy thing would happen. And like, boom, he'll crash my car. Like, he'll do something crazy where now it's like I'm in a huge deficit again. And I have to be with you by your side until you pay me back all my money. That just turns into now months and months go by of now it's like yapping. Now it's like, are you going to pay me today? Can I have my money today? Like, you said tomorrow, can I please have the 2,500? And then now you're getting mad because I'm in your ear, and now you're going to start physically assaulting me. Or now your tolerance is short. And so now when we get into it about anything else, you're going to sit there and slap me, or you're going to act crazy. But it's just like, hold on. All of this is built off of anger and frustration that you really have within yourself. And I'm here being the punching bag for all of it. It was horrible, girl. The worst experience of my life, but that's the only way out of it. And his mom even came and visited me at work one day, and she told me, listen, my son, you're going to have to leave this city. And I was like, I'm not leaving this city over no dude. Like, you don't know what I built to get here. Yeah, right. One person, girl, it took maybe less than 30 days. Girl, I was on the first thing smoking. Like, I should have took mama's advice a long time ago, but this boy was not about to let me leave this city. It was going to go out no other way. So I ended up literally leaving by the grace of God. Like, I had to make a promise with God. I just had to make that commitment. Like, if it happens again, if he hits me, and it's so funny because it should have just been like, fuck if it happens again, like I'm leaving, you know? But I just remember this little contingency because a part of me just wanted to believe that this would be the last time that he would do it. And so I just told myself, I told God, like, I'm going to give it 4 days. If he touches me within the next 4 days, I am going to the police. Like, I'm gonna get out of here. And 4 days, girl, it was day 3, and he bugged out, locked me in my room for 4 days. He put the chair up under the door, up under the handle, literally locked me in my bedroom because I started making my little threats. Like, I'm gonna leave. Started doing too much talking. And he's just like, okay, yeah. And he kept me from going to work. Those 4 days were hell. They were hell. They were hell. They were hell. And the whole time he would be in my own living room of my own house, gambling my freaking money away on 2K. He even had people he would bring into my house and gamble in person with them while I'm locked in my bedroom with no phone, no nothing, girl.
Oh my God.
Yes. So I had to make the decision, like, when I get out of here, I don't know when it's going to happen, but when I get out of this room, I'm going to play cool and I'm out of here. Like, I'm going to the first police department. Like, I was livid. It was so bad, girl. It was so bad. I'll never forget. Like, he came in the room one night and was going so crazy on me for nothing. And an undercover cop came to my door and was banging on my door. He was just like, who's that? Like, what the fuck? Like, who'd you call? And I'm like, I don't know. He goes to the door and we're both nervous now. It's like, who is it? And it's the guy, this random cop, and he had a gun behind his back. And when my ex opened the door, my bitch ass neighbor from across the thing right behind the guy, she looks at my ex and she's like, he has a gun. She closed the door. And so my ex saw it and slammed the door, but he was a cop coming to make sure I was good. It was just crazy. It started getting just way too close to like, it's not my life. I was so ashamed. And I just knew that me having the mom that I had, I could not shame her in this way. So it forced me to keep it all inside because I just could not stomach the fact of like facing my mom and me being like, Mom, I let this happen. I just couldn't. Of course, I have a good mom. If I told her, she would have done anything. She would have come to my rescue so quick. It was pride and ego, I guess, but I just don't want to be the person. I can't break my mom's heart. I just respect her so much that it's just like, I can't let her know that after all her sacrifices, after all her hard work, after all of her late nights and all of her lessons that she drilled into me about this and that, like I let a man drag me by my hair and the things that I let happen. But it's like, what are you supposed to do? They're overpowering you. They're scarier. They're like rougher. It's like, I didn't let these things happen. I had no choice. And I get that now, but it's like so much shame and I can't even believe it. Sometimes when you think about the things that you tolerated, it's like, wow, you really deserve a bullet in your head for what the fuck you did to me, for real.
I resonate so much with a lot of things that you said, even though like my story is completely different, but I felt all of those feelings too. No one knew what I was going through until the night that I escaped the hands of my ex-boyfriend, because if I didn't, he would have killed me. Like I would have been a statistic. That's how violent it got that night. When I escaped to my best friend's apartment, I'm banging on her door at like 1 o'clock in the morning, half naked, a fucking mess because he almost killed me. That was the first time that I actually spoke up. And I just resonate so much with what you shared because it is scary. Like you feel the shame, you feel the anger towards that person, also towards yourself. You feel embarrassed. You're like, I never fucking expected this to happen to me. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, I wouldn't want anyone to experience what we went through, but until you're in it, you really won't understand it completely.
Really, you won't. It's impossible. I so vividly just remember myself saying, like, I wish somebody would, because in my mind, like, it was impossible that any guy try me like that. What? I used to be the girl, like, the minute you say it was like, what? You have a problem? Like, what? What? So it's like, how can she be someone that allowed the first sign, like, you should have been out? But no, it doesn't start off that way. It starts off charming and vulnerable and loving and nurturing and all of these things. You just feel like you should be letting in, or you should be there for. And then one day that shit just morphs into the reality of what it is. You got to take it for what it is. You know, like you were saying, we're just conditioned. We make excuses for things. We try to justify why it could be. But at the end of the day, it's happening. The more you allow it to happen,
the more it's going to happen and the worse it's going to get. Since we're on that, I would love for you to share what are some red flags that, say, a listener is listening and it sounds kind of like they might be in an abusive relationship, but they're not really sure. What would you say are some red flags to look out for?
I feel like anybody who, and this isn't even just for abuse, you know, I just feel like anybody who shows signs of like needing someone else to like leverage someone else to be okay. Like we're all grown. If you're 25 and up, and you don't have your shit together in some way, like your credit, you don't have a job, you don't take care of yourself, like just the quality of a human being that we're talking about, you're kind of setting yourself up to allow some riffraff into your life, especially if you're someone who does have a house of your own or a nice apartment or a good job or good credit and a nice car. If you're someone of quality and substance, again, you're going to attract sometimes the good and the bad. And narcissistic behavior is something that I've been really looking into lately because I didn't really understand what that was. But I think that I have a tendency to attract some men with some highly narcissistic tendencies, and that can very easily result in abuse, whether it's physical assault or it's like mental and emotional or verbal. Narcissists usually have this grandiose persona where they just feel a very strong sense of entitlement and a very strong sense of like they're the shit, like they're that guy, like you should talk to them a certain way, you should treat them a certain way, you should pleasure them a certain way, and that's a red fucking flag.
That's like a burgundy flag.
Yeah, that is when you start seeing, when someone starts to gaslight you, when someone starts to manipulate you, when someone starts to show lack of empathy, when they are not caring about your well-being, these are red flags. Narcissists often idolize their partners at the beginning. They shower them with gifts, with compliments.
The love bombing stage is so fucking real, girl.
It is. And I printed all of these things out because it's like, it's true. You know, the belittling starts, taking advantage of others to achieve their goals. My abusive partner 100% saw me as someone he could leverage to get what he wanted. And then I did it. And the minute I said no or took away certain things, it was like I was the bad guy all of a sudden. Like,
then there were consequences.
Yes. And so those things, you know, when you start to notice that the person that you're with is showing any of these signs, first of all, love feels good. Okay. Like, yeah, we go through ups and downs, but love is supposed to feel good. And if you start to notice that you're tensing up, your hands are shaky and sweaty, you're doing weird fidgety things, like you're just not feeling calm and peace peace and happy and love and butterfly type of feelings around your loved one or your partner, that is an indication immediately that no, it's not you. It's your nervous system is tweaking the fuck out.
I'm so glad you brought that up because in my situation, before the physical abuse started, yo, Chelsea, it was fucking crazy. Every single morning for probably like a month straight, I would wake up with that anxious, nauseous feeling in your stomach, right? And you said about the butterflies, but it wasn't the good butterflies because there's a difference. It was that like
Anxious.
uneasy feeling. And my body was telling me, this man ain't right. But I'm addicted to the feeling. I'm addicted to the sex. That's a huge fucking thing. Like we stay in toxicity because, oh, the dick is so bomb. No.
Girl, it's crazy. It's like, I don't know if it comes with it or what. It's like, what did that dick do to you to make you feel like you had to use it as a weapon to hurt women or something? I don't get it. It was just like a mix of, exactly. In my case, I was cheating and I had never cheated on anyone in my whole life. So it's like that danger that comes with like, oh my God, nobody's supposed to know about this, and something that you only know with that one person. And it becomes like this entangled web of destruction, girl. Oh my God. And the way they leverage that too, it's like you literally are trapped in your own situation and you could barely breathe. And they'll find anything to do that to you. They'll find ways to isolate you from your friends and your family. They'll talk shit about them, make them feel like those are not even good friends of yours, that those friends talk behind your back, those friends aren't loyal, those are not good friends. Anything just to make you feel bad about having a relationship that's healthy outside of them, because they don't want anybody to expose them. They don't want any of your friends to be like, oh, he's gaslighting you. Oh, that's abuse. They don't want that.
Exactly. They want to maintain that power and control. It's so crazy how similar. And, you know, I've interviewed other survivors too. And across the board, it's the same fucking thing. Like, yes, there are different partners that we've attracted, but an abusive person, like you will see and you will feel the signs, which is why I'm so glad you brought up, y'all, that fucking female intuition that we all have inside of us. Please listen to it. If right now you're listening and you're thinking about your own relationship and this is resonating with you, I'm not saying that this is going to happen. It may happen, but please listen to the warning signs that we're talking about because, like I said, our stories are completely different, but listen to the fucking similarities that we have experienced.
Definitely take heed of the signs early, because the longer they get in your mind, and we create more bonds, and any bond is hard to break, you know? So
Especially a trauma bond, girl. That shit is real.
it's too real. It's very unfortunate.
So I want to ask you for some advice in regards to the whole healing process for us survivors of domestic violence and traumatic relationships. What would you say to a survivor, especially like she's in the beginning stages of her healing and she's feeling all those feelings of shame and resentment and anger and all the things that we felt? How would you tell her to navigate through those feelings that come with the healing process?
I would tell her, first, be patient. Boy, be patient and take your time through this process, because you are so fragile and delicate. You're still so strong, but give yourself some grace to know that this is a journey. This is something that you quite possibly will never get over. You can heal from it, but this is not going anywhere. This is like, you know, that miscarriage or that abortion or something that is just a part of you that, yes, you can forgive yourself and heal from, but it is not going to go away all the way. It's okay to take the baby steps, and it's okay to do it your way. This is not a one size fits all thing, but just give yourself grace through this journey of healing, because it will take some time. It will be painful. There's times where you think you're totally healed and it's been 5 years. You watch a freaking cartoon or a billboard pops up about, are you being abused? Dial, da, 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 and it just hits you and you're just like, oh my God, I remember seeing that same, you know, it'll be the smallest freaking things that just trigger me. But just give yourself that time and that space and that grace to heal. Seek therapy if you can. You know, I know in our communities it's such a taboo thing, but I feel like not anymore. We're entering like an era where people are embracing it, and it really is helpful to seek therapy and to tell your story. I think that Me, I didn't go the therapy route, but I found therapy in a more of a non-traditional, a way that I didn't expect to find it. And it truly was by creating my audience on social media and choosing to just be transparent with them from time to time. It wasn't just like this thing I woke up and I'm like, today I'm going to start telling my story every day. No, it was like a very gradual thing where like today I might be doing my makeup on live as I get ready, and somebody might say something in the comments that just bring up a conversation of my past. And now I'm on Instagram bawling my eyes out for an hour because there's 200 other people who joined the room who are telling me that they're dealing with this right now. And now I can't even get off the live because now it's like, I realized like, holy shit, this is way bigger than you, Chelsea. Like, you're not alone. There's another girl just like you who said that she's locked in a room right now. Like, it became like, wow, I'm not alone. And that was the best feeling in the worst way, because it's like nobody wants anybody else to have to deal with this. But when you realize that there's other people who need the same healing that you need, and it's okay, all that embarrassment and that shame, really, you can let it go. And something I've also learned that has helped me tremendously is setting boundaries. Like, if my boundaries make it impossible for us to be friends because you can't respect certain things that I have to put in place in order to protect my peace and my happiness, then that's just what it is. We can't be friends. You don't love me enough or value our friendship enough to respect these boundaries, but that's just what it's got to be, because you don't have the traumas that I have. You haven't had these experiences. So this is what it has to be right now. And then also just self-compassion, again, like self-care, just taking the time to do the inner work and heal from the inside out, accepting that it's okay that you allow these things to happen. Like, don't punish yourself over and over. We've already lived through enough punishment that I think it's just time to embrace that, like, we survived it. Let's turn inward and heal our hearts now and forgive ourselves for what we allowed to transpire and learn from it. We're not bad people. We're not weak people. We're people that usually just love hard, and our hearts got the best of us and it fucked up our thinking, or whatever, the lust factor, whatever it was. It allowed for something bad to happen to us. And now we just have to take that time to truly heal and get past it. And there's different ways for everyone, but find a way that really works for you. It may not happen for the first year or two. Maybe it's just you're not ready to even face it. But at some point, it is really best to acknowledge these things and heal from them so that you don't carry them into your next relationship. Or if you're a parent, you don't allow it to, that PTSD works in every type of trauma situation. So it's like, I look at myself now and I'm like, even if it was true or not, that he was just struggling from PTSD and it allowed it to manifest in this way. If this is now something I can identify that I'm struggling with PTSD because of him, the least I could do is make sure that I have my shit under grips so that I'm not lashing out in a fit of rage when I'm mad, or uncontrollable breakdown when I'm sad. Like, I have to be in control of my emotions as a woman, as a leader, as a business owner. That came with time, because it was not like that right away. Right away, girl, you couldn't even be a girl next to me, girl. You raise your hand to fix your hair, I'm like this, like insane. Looking back, insane how embarrassed I was so many times. Like, the waiter just reached over to grab my water and I'm like, and oh my God, like, people saw that. I didn't even know until like people around me would be like, girl, calm down. And I'm like, oh yeah. Like, we try to play that shit off. It's like, oh my God, like, this is bad. This is really bad. You never know until you have to go through it. But once you survive, you realize how strong you are. And you just have to look at it as such an empowering thing. Like, wow, girl, you survived that. And it felt like it was breaking you, but it didn't. You bent a lot. You damn near broke, but you're still here. And now we know what to look for. We know the red signs. We know that we could survive. And honestly, it just made me the strongest person. It made me the freaking strongest person in every area of my life. Now, when I know something isn't for me, I don't always know in the very beginning, but now I'm prepared and willing to walk away from anything I need to. If at any point you ever remind me of what it was 10 years ago, I can't erase what I learned. Those lessons are embedded in me forever. So all them draggings, all those those beat downs, all those everything. Like, I didn't learn my lesson back then, but I'll be damned if I ever allow those red flags to pop up again and me choose to turn a blind eye.
Not even a red flag, even if it's like an orange flag. Like I said before, you get that funny feeling. It's so important, like you said, to set those boundaries and to protect your peace at the end of the day, because we've been living in fucking chaos for so long and we're not going to stray away from that ever again. So I want you to now share some advice for supporters or friends on the outside who have someone in their life who may be going through things that we've gone through. What would be the first steps, in your opinion, in order to really help in that process of either helping them leave or just being there as a supportive outsider? What would you say to that person?
You just have to know, if you find yourself in a situation where you are a friend to someone who's going through something like this, God has appointed you an angel. Like, you are an angel in that person's life. Honestly, it is a responsibility that you could easily just turn your back on and be like, you know what? I don't want to get involved in this. This is too much. I got enough going on. This is stressful. But please just do not turn your back on your friend. Like, just be there for your friend, because if that friend ever needed you, now is when they need you. And they will never forget the strength that you gave them, the words of encouragement. They will never forget what you did to help them through this hard time. And you may be the one and only person that they truly feel comfortable with to even let you know that this is happening, and God really just has given you this responsibility because they know that, like, you can help them through this. So just look at it like that. And don't ever be that friend that I told you so friend. Like, now is just not the fucking time,
Right.
like, leave that for like a normal breakup or like cheating or something, but not abuse. Now is just not the time to try to be right about anything, or the like, the I told you so friend, or the like, you took him back again type friend, because just not a normal type of breakup. This is not a normal type of situation. Abuse, there's layers to this abuse, and she could be scared. She could be embarrassed. She could literally be afraid for her life. Don't be that friend. Be that friend that's like, listen, I don't care how many times you go back to this person. Like, I don't care how many times you cry wolf and you say that you're done, and then a week later, you give in again. Like, yes, I'm mad that you're doing it. Yes, I want you to be done. Yes, you deserve better. Yes, I'm so excited for us to take that girls trip and say fuck him and never. But until you're ready, I'm here. I'm here, and I will be here, and I will never, ever not be here for you. And that's being a friend. And I promise you, one day when shit hits the fan and it's their time, because that's the thing I've had to learn. I've been on both ends of it with the same friend. First, I was there for her through a domestic violence situation. And then years later, she was the person for me that saved my life through the whole situation. I'm just so thankful and blessed for that friendship. And I know that God gave us each other for that reason. But it got to a point where it was so traumatic. It was so abusive, even to the point where she came to my physical rescue one day and he assaulted her, just did not stop showing up for me. And I was just like, you are my angel. Like, I love you. I love you in a different way, And she told me, she's like, listen, you're crying wolf. Cause I kept saying, I'm sorry, I'm crying wolf. I'm sorry, I'm crying wolf. And she's like, I'll be here forever. I'll always be here. Like, it doesn't matter how many times you cry wolf. I'm going to show up every single time, locked and loaded, ready to be coming out busting if we have to. Like, I'm coming. And I was just like, oh my God, thank you. And she's just like, the day that you're really ready, I'm going to know.
I love that so much. Listen, shout out to your sister for that. Anyone who's listening and you don't have someone like that in your life, just know that, like, speaking up and just telling someone, it can literally save your life. And, for me, shout out to my girl, Giovanna, the girl who I ran to her that night. And she's the one who encouraged me to call 911 because I wasn't going to. I was scared. My first thought was like, oh my God, I'm going to get him in trouble, even though he almost took my life. And I'm thinking, damn, I'm going to be the one to send another Black man to jail. You know what I'm saying?
And they play on that. They really, really play on that. They know who we are. They know what type of women we are. They know exactly what, girl, I defended this man. What? Every time he beat me up, girl, I was the one getting him out of prison. I was the one working extra shifts, calling my family members and friends, making up crazy excuses why I needed hundreds of dollars for this, for that, and all the crazy things that I did to help this man, to save him from himself. You know what I'm saying? Like, I remember one time on the way to the courthouse, when I walked into the court, I lied. I was like, maybe they'll let him out if I tell them I'm pregnant. Girl, So I walk in to pay my little bail money and I see the guy and he's like, you again? He's like in cop gear and stuff. He's like, you up here again? And I was like, like trying to wear my sunglasses and like cover my face and stuff. And I was like, yeah, it's nothing, whatever. And I told the lady at the thing, I'm like, please, like help me. I can't afford this. I'm like, I'm pregnant. And she just looked at me and she's just like, girl, did you just hear yourself? And I was like, what? And she's like, you are pregnant and you are up here helping this man, trying to get this man out of jail from beating your ass. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And you better watch for your cat. The whole time I'm lying, but still I'm just like, wow, I'm a fucking idiot. Like, what the fuck? It's hard, man. Your mind is not wired right when you're dealing with that shit and when you're keeping so much harbored in. And that's why I just thank God for that friendship that I had. And she just told me the day that you're ready, you're going to really know. She's like, it's going to be different from all the other times. You're going to feel 100% different one day and you're going to call me and I'm going to hear it in your voice and I'm going to know and I'm going to set up everything. She's like, you're not going to need to do anything. Just know when that day comes, I'm going to handle all of it for you. And it wasn't much longer, but there were a couple cry wolf sessions in between that. But one time she was right. It hit me one day. It literally hit me one day. And I was like, I fucking hate this guy. Like, I hate him. Like, I don't want to play this game no more. I don't give a fuck if he goes to jail. I literally am done. I don't care about the money. I'll get it if I get it. It was finally down to like $2,200. I think that when I left, he owed me $2,200. He had stolen my credit cards. And I was just like, I'm done. Like, I don't know where my cards are. I don't know where this is, where that is. And that's how I knew I was done. When I was ready to let all my financial shit go to shit, I was like, I have nothing else. Like, it's done now. I don't care. And she handled all of it. She got me flight. She made up something to my mom that got my mom to get me a flight. And then she paid for my car to get shipped. Within a few hours, she had a whole itinerary for me. And she's like, we're going to LA. And I was like, to LA? And she's like, we're going to LA because he can't afford to get there and he'll leave you alone. Like, we're out. And I was like, girl, I'm from the Bronx. Like, what the fuck am I doing in LA, Los Angeles? And she's like, baby, it's the city of angels. We out. And I was like, oh my God. And that's what we did. And I started over and I moved and lived in a motel for a couple months. And I saved up till I could get my first studio apartment and my first air mattress. And I thugged that shit out. And every single day I woke up so fucking proud and thankful. And I could smell the air differently. Like, my senses came back. It's like my nervous system was regulating again. And I was able to like appreciate the flowers and the blue sky and things that were literally just not able to, I didn't see them before. It felt so good, girl. And like, I started my whole life over in LA.
And look at you now, girl. Look at you now. I fucking love that for you. I was like starting off with like the heavy shit and then turning it around and showing like through all the shit that we've gone through, like we're out here thriving. That's why my podcast is called Watch Us Thrive. There is a purpose behind our pain, and you are the epitome of a woman who has been able to turn your pain into power. And I'm just so grateful to have you on, for you to be so vulnerable and share this shit, because it's not easy. Shout out to the friends that are ride or dies, for real ride or dies, that stick by our sides through our bullshit. If you don't have someone like that in your life, please change your circle up, because there are angels on earth out there for you. The way that you can really start to make a change is by speaking up and asking for help and letting go of all those feelings of anger and all that shit. Like, just speak up and tell someone, and that can be the catalyst for an amazing change in your life. But you got to make it happen.
You have to. You have to be. Nobody can save you from your own. We're grown. I know they wish they could have at times, but when you try to take that aggressive approach before someone is ready, you're going to get swung on. Like, no, literally, there were times where my friends tried to do that shit. And I was like, listen, this is not an intervention. Like, we're all going to end up fighting. Like, I'm not freaking ready and I can't explain why I'm not. So like, fall back, get the fuck out my house. Like, there's been times where I've literally had to, like, my friends thought I turned on them, but it's like, I'm not. But like, y'all, I'm not ready. You know, I'm just not ready. Too much. You don't understand what's going on in the underlining. You see him abusing me, but I see all the entanglement of what I have to sort out over here first. Okay. I can't just dip and then my whole world goes to shit. There's a lot that needs to get figured out over here. Girl, it's a lot. But I'm so thankful for those relationships that didn't turn on me and that respected me through my process and were there for me. You know, those are angels for for real.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for sharing that. All right. So now I want to know, since you're on the Watch Us Thrive podcast, tell my audience what's your definition of thriving.
Thriving for me, and as a survivor of domestic abuse and domestic violence, I think it's just regaining that control of what my story is and what my life is supposed to be, what my life is supposed to look like, and knowing that I deserve and am full capability of creating the exact life that I feel I deserve, or the one that I want, because I allowed these things to happen to me at some point in my life. That doesn't take away from what I'm allowed to do going forward. For me, every day is an example of thriving, just being able to wake up and push past those memories, those triggers, those occurrences, because I have flashbacks all the time watching movies, and just not allowing that shit to control you or really play on your mental, because anything you think about is going to manifest and continue to just blow up and get bigger and bigger. So you want to focus on positive things, focus on the growth in things. And that's what helps me feel like every day I'm thriving. What helps me thrive even more is also, again, back to boundaries and learning that it's okay to set healthy boundaries. And in order to thrive, you are going to 100% have to do that, because it's about cultivating a sense of self-worth and self-respect and self-love, and showing other people the standard of which you expect for yourself, let alone for someone else to treat you. Being able to really set those boundaries with yourself. And I think that just helps so much. I really think that that's what has helped me just feel untouchable after all of this, after all the weakness and vulnerability. It's like, no, this is my life, and that doesn't feel good to me. And I'm going to let you know immediately, because I'm worth it. And if you don't like it, then that's okay. Even though the thriving journey, the healing journey is going to look different for everyone, I really encourage you to start by setting clear boundaries and just pursuing your healing head first. Like, knowing that that's the best thing that you can do for yourself is not sweep things under the rug. We're so conditioned to be private about things and deal with things by ourselves and not tell people your business and all these things. And maybe that's fine too. But for this sake, like, you can't keep this bottled up inside. You have to get healing. You have to heal, even if it's with a therapist. That's thriving. Just reclaiming control over the life God gave you. That's on you to live, your way, the way that feels very best to you. You're entitled to live that type of life.
I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself. That's such a beautiful definition. And I love the word untouchable. I'm going to start using that. That is like, bitch, you are not allowed in this space anymore, okay? Because I know who the fuck I am. You understand what I'm
That's
saying?
how I feel 100%. Like, after you survive some of the things we've survived and healed through it, and know like what took you there, what made you, it's like, I'm literally untouchable. I know myself better now. Like, I understand myself inside and out, and what works for me and what doesn't. I will never allow myself to go back to that place.
Girl, you are such a fucking inspiration. I just want to give you the biggest hug. Thank you so much. This is amazing. If you had the opportunity to say something to your abuser, being the woman that you are today, what do you want to say to him?
I saw this question and I don't even know. Like, it's a hard one.
I'll go first. I'll say to my abuser, I hope you're fucking suffering in jail. That's what I would say. A big fuck you to you.
Of course. And that's what they deserve, 100%, and I often think about how many other lives he flipped upside down after me. I know he has gone on to have children, sons. And so I was happy in the fact that they weren't girls when I found out, because I was just like, wow, But I think I would just tell him, like, I hope you healed. I hope you've taken the time to heal your heart, to heal all that allowed you to be such a monster to someone who just was trying to love you, who was just trying to make sure that you had all that you needed to be okay in this life. That little toxic trauma bond of a friendship really turned into a bond that, like, I was bending over backwards and doing things for this person that was purely out of like caring for this person as a human being, really giving from a place that like I didn't even know was there. I hope that the way he saw how much it hurt, but these people, these narcissists, I'm the long paragraph sender. Okay. I'm the one that's going to do all that begging for you to realize what you did. Bitch, they know what the fuck they did. So
girl, I was the same way.
That's why it was hard to answer it, because it's like everything I would want to say to him, I wouldn't say, because he already knows I'm going to say it. That was the answer. The answer is go to hell, you and your mom. Like, that's what I want to say, but what I
Yeah.
truly would want to say is the novel of like how you ripped my heart out, you hurt me, and I was a good woman, I didn't deserve that. But they don't give a fuck about, they already knew that, so fuck them, just move on. Like, you see me now, I know you see that, whether you're seeing it from prison or you're seeing it from wherever. I know you see me now, and I know that shit is hard to sit, to know that such a big part of my story and my truth has stemmed from that phase of my life. I know he hates that he's responsible for that. If I could be on Oprah telling my story, I know he wouldn't want that to be the phase that he played in my life. And sadly, that is the role he chose to occupy, the space he chose to occupy in my life. So one day when I'm telling this story on big ass stages, that's a shitty reality, and he'll have to sleep with that.
And like we said, you are fucking untouchable now. You can't even breathe my same air, bitch.
Period. You or your mama again.
I love that. All right. So, final question. Someone needs to sit down and write about Chelsea. What do you want them to say about you?
I want them to say that I was a fearless leader. I was someone who really was willing to stand frontline for women, for my women, especially women who come from the similar backgrounds, similar stories, whether it's like racial backgrounds or just domestic violence backgrounds or single mom backgrounds, like someone who relates to me. I want my community to know that I was someone who allowed my experiences to be told, because whether they were embarrassing, whether they were humiliating, they served as an example of what to do or what not to do. And I just want to be known as someone who left a real legacy behind and made a real impact. A lot of people tell their stories and this and that, but when you don't have that like relatability factor, and it just becomes another cool story. But when it's something that you listen to and you're like, damn, she grew up where I grew up from, or like, she's just like me and she made it through, that speaks such volumes to me. And so I really just want to be remembered as someone who wasn't afraid to take chances and wasn't afraid to tell her story in hopes of really inspiring other women to know that like there is light at the end of the tunnel and you can create whatever type of life you're in search of creating.
And she's doing it. And she did that. And she's continuing to do that. Chelsea, thank you. You are such an inspiration. And I know my listeners are going to want to know more about you, follow you, work with you. So please let my audience know all of that.
So you guys, I'm on all social media platforms and my handle is Learn with Chelsea. Now I'm an instructor to people who are wanting more out of their lives. And like we spoke about earlier, my financial situation is what allowed me to make way for a lot of these nasty negative things into my life. And so now these days, being a mother of two, a daughter, I really, really, really stand on women should have their own finances and women should be financially secure at all times. And I want to be a small part of what allows and helps women, more women, find financial freedom so that they never have to rely on a toxic relationship or an abusive partner to give them the things that they can essentially create for themselves. And had I known that money wasn't this scarce object back then that needed to be coveted so tightly, I would have said $2,500. Now, when I see how quickly I can snap my fingers and make $2,500, I'm like, oh my God, I almost lost my life behind a couple $1,000. Like, damn. So I just need more women to understand that there's some real amazing women out here and men who are willing to give you the game and to teach you new ways of leveling up your life so that you never, ever have to find yourself feeling financially strapped to a wall and having to make decisions that you don't even want to make. So now I've created programs that kind of help break the steps down so that people can literally follow in my footsteps. Because if you would have told me back then, girl, just leave him. In a couple of years, you're going to be a multimillionaire. I'd be like, bitch, bye. But like, I didn't believe that shit. I was literally working for every penny and I was showing up to get my money and I was really putting in work. And I held on to my money so tight because I was so scared of not knowing how to produce more of it. And now I've cracked the code on how to literally create money And it's an amazing feeling. And every woman should have this information in her back pocket so that she never has to feel the way I felt back then. So learn with Chelsea on social media, and you can DM me about anything. I'm an open book. If you ever want to talk more about this subject, we can definitely continue that. And if you have questions more about business or how I can help you get some money, you can DM me the word drop shipping, and I can send you some free information, some videos and things like that to help you get some money.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm definitely going to leave all your info in the show notes, y'all. She's like the queen of drop shipping. So if that's what you're interested in, please work with her because she's the real deal. I will vouch for her 1000%. Chelsea, I just want to say thank you so much once again. You are a fucking powerhouse. I'm so glad that we connected. Thank you so much for sharing just a little bit of your story and your truth. And I know just hearing a little bit of what you've gone through is going to help so many women to realize their worth and know that there's so much more better out there for them. So thank you.
Amen. And I hope so too, Leanne. Thank you. This was great. Thank you so much for sharing your audience with me. And I hope this definitely was helpful and impactful in some way. I hope you guys walked away feeling a little bit more educated and more aware of the signs. And if any of this felt relatable to you and you feel like this might be a situation, please don't let it harbor. And obviously, you're only going to get closer to that person if you let more time go. They're going to start doing tactics and things to make you feel even more indebted and connected and dependent. So please lean on the healthier friendships and relationships that you have so that you can come to your senses quicker and realize that that's a relationship worth severing to save yourself.
Yes. And please, like she said, her DMs are open. My DMs are open. Please reach out to us. We just want to see you guys win.
Thrive.
Yes. Thank you, my love.
You're welcome. Thank you so much for having me.